What if everything you thought made you feminine was a lie? The softness, the sacrifice, the smile you wear when your heart is breaking. What if those were roles, not your truth? From the moment we are born, especially as women, we are trained to perform. Be gentle but not weak. Be successful but not intimidating. Be emotional, but only in private. Carl Jung never defined femininity by appearances or roles. He saw it as something deeper, a living energy within all of us, regardless of gender. It's the source of our intuition, empathy, creativity, and healing. But somewhere along the way, we lost it. In this video, we go beyond makeup, voices, and expectations to rediscover the feminine as Jung saw it, not as a performance, but as the soul's quiet, powerful way of coming home. What if the femininity you've lived your whole life was a role someone else wrote for you? From the moment we're born, especially as girls, we are trained to perform. Be gentle, but not too soft. Be successful, but not intimidating, but not too emotional. It's a script we inherit without consent. And over time, it begins to feel like truth. We learn to smile when we're exhausted, to stay silent when something feels wrong, to be beautiful, but effortless. And slowly, something eerie begins to happen. We become fluent in pleasing everyone, except ourselves. What the world calls feminine becomes a costume, not a reflection. A carefully curated mask passed down from mothers who wore it before us. Carl Jung called this mask the persona, the image we present to survive social expectations. But he also warned, if you mistake your mask for your soul, you will lose yourself. And here's the twist. Most women wearing the mask don't even realize it. They just know they feel tired, disconnected, empty, even when they're loved, even when they're praised, even when they've done everything right. So what is this exhaustion that lingers behind a perfect smile? Why do so many successful, admired women feel like strangers to themselves? Could it be that femininity, as society has defined it, is not who you are, but who you were told to become? And if that's true, then who were you before the world told you who to be? She walked alone beneath the moonlight, the world quiet as if holding its breath. In front of her stretched a lake so still it looked like glass, untouched, eternal. No sound, no ripples, just silence. She stepped closer. The wind didn't move, the trees didn't speak, but something inside her did. She looked down. There it was, her reflection, but not the one she expected. The face in the water wasn't wearing the smile she forced every day. It wasn't guarded, it wasn't polite, it was still and watching. Then she saw the eyes, not hers, wiser, deeper, glowing faintly like something ancient was trapped inside. It didn't blink, it didn't break, it knew. That's when she froze, because it wasn't just looking at her, it was waiting for her. Suddenly a chill passed through her spine, not from the cold, but from a realization. The reflection hadn't moved, but she had. She stepped back, the image stayed still. It was no longer copying her movements. It had stopped pretending, then it smiled. But she didn't. That smile, it wasn't comforting. It was knowing, like it had seen everything. Every moment she betrayed herself just to be accepted. Every time she silenced her truth to feel safe. That reflection wasn't her shadow. It was her soul, the one she abandoned years ago. And now it was calling her back, not with words, not with judgment, just with presence. A presence so powerful it made her knees tremble. She turned away, heart pounding, afraid not of the dark, but of what it might mean to finally come home to herself. If the soul we reject never leaves, then what happens when it decides to return without asking? Most people think of femininity as behavior, a tone of voice, a way of dressing, a set of traits, softness, sweetness, sensitivity. But Carl Jung shattered that illusion. He believed femininity wasn't a costume or a personality, but a primordial energy inside every human being, regardless of gender. He called it the anima, not something you act out, something you carry. It lives in the unconscious. It speaks in dreams, in symbols, in silence. The anima is your intuition, your ability to feel without needing logic, your creativity, your capacity to nurture, to surrender, to feel deeply, and to heal. It is the inner soil where the soul takes root. And here's where it gets terrifying. Most people have completely lost touch with it, not because it left, but because they've been taught to suppress it. We're told that feelings are weakness, that softness is a liability, that being emotional makes you unstable, irrational, unworthy. So we bury the anima, deeper and deeper, until it stops speaking to us, until we no longer hear our own intuition, until even our joy feels mechanical. But this silence comes at a price, because when you lose touch with your anima, you don't just lose femininity, you lose the very part of you that knows how to love, how to create, how to feel alive. You become sharp, efficient, respected, but also hollow, restless, dry. What if your greatest strength isn't in mastering logic, but in remembering what your body already knows? We've been told to be strong, to move on, to keep going no matter what we feel. And for a while, it works. You build a life, you check every box, you look successful on the outside, but deep down something feels wrong. Something is missing. And when you finally stop, even for a moment, the silence screams. That silence is the voice of the forgotten feminine. The anima doesn't return with fire and thunder. She returns in stillness, in softness. In a whisper you nearly forgot how to hear. To reclaim the feminine is not to perform it. It is to feel again, to slow down, to let the wave move through your body without needing to fix it, name it, justify it. It's not weakness, it's a return. And here's the twist. You won't find her through effort. You'll find her through surrender. When you stop trying to be okay, when you stop explaining your softness, when you stop negotiating with your tears, that's when she rises. She rises not as an image to impress, but as a presence to embody. Not the good woman, not the healed woman, just the honest one. Because reclaiming the feminine isn't about becoming someone new, it's about remembering someone ancient who has always been inside you, waiting. So ask yourself, when was the last time you didn't fight your own softness? Carl Jung didn't believe healing was about becoming perfect. He believed it was about becoming whole. That wholeness doesn't come from fixing your shadow or mastering your feminine. It comes from welcoming what you once exiled. The truth is, your softness was never the problem. Your emotions were never a flaw. Your need for stillness, your longing for tenderness, they were signals, maps. The anima is not here to make you likable. She's here to make you real. When you stop fighting her, you begin to change in a way the world cannot measure. You stop over-explaining. You stop apologizing. You stop abandoning yourself just to be accepted. And instead, you begin to live. That is individuation. To return home to yourself, not through logic, not through control, but through integration, through honoring both the fire and the water inside you. Here is the final paradox. The world told you to suppress your feminine to become stronger. But your feminine was your strength all along. So maybe the real question is not how do I become whole, but rather what part of me have I left behind that's still waiting to be brought home. Maybe what we call femininity isn't something we become, but something ancient inside us, trying to be remembered. Not soft, not strong, but whole. Carl Jung believed that the parts of ourselves we reject don't disappear, they become fate. So perhaps the anima doesn't ask to be understood, only to be felt. And if that's true, how many lives are we living that aren't really ours, just because we were too afraid to feel what was real? If this journey into the depths of the human psyche stirred something within you, don't let it end here. Subscribe to Carl Jung Mysteries and tap the notification bell so you never miss a revelation. Every week we uncover more hidden truths about your mind, your soul, and the strange world you live in. This isn't just a channel, it's an awakening. And you're part of it now.